Today we're going to look at the prices for the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas for 4 main counties: Collin County, Dallas County, Tarrant County, and Denton County. Now, these prices are going to be up to October 2024 because November is not over yet, so we haven't gotten the November data yet. But what we can observe from the data that we do have for 2024, we can see that right now we're in a fall. So the end of August marked the beginning of fall months in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. So what we're observing is that predictably we had some slowdown in the purchasing activity. As a result, we had a reduction in prices in many cases. Many people in August decided to cut their prices so they could sell before the holidays. And predictably, we see after August, we see the biggest price cuts. So people who didn't sell in August decided to either hold it or fold it. And they either drop the prices or they're trying to hold on to the prices that they established. But what we also see is that after this big price drop after August, so September was the biggest price drop for pretty much all counties, except for Dallas. Dallas was slightly up. But after that, we see a slight bump in prices, which means that after October, people are starting to recover. After September, people are starting to recover, and they either hold their prices firmly or they are marking their prices higher, or at the very least, so it seems. Now, notice that the Dallas County, which is in red, the Tarrant County, the Collin County, which is in blue, and the Denton County, which is in gray, are all following the same trajectory. Basically, a little bit of a bump, a little bit of a drop, and then a little bit of a bump again. The only one buckling the trend is Tarrant County. Tarrant County was after July, the prices continue to decline with no noticeable bump that we observe in other counties. So from a standpoint of pricing, the Tarrant County right now is the most difficult one. Now let's take a look at what prices might hold for us in the upcoming months. If we take a look at, let's just say, November 2023, what we're seeing is a very similar situation to what we're currently seeing: a little price bump in November, then a decline in January. So notice that all counties, their lowest point for the year 2023 was December/January. So this is the months where everybody is, shopping for Christmas presents, spending like crazy on travel and vacation and Christmas presents. So people are not thinking about houses. So predictably, the prices are at their lowest point in January, but then notice what happens. In January, we had a pretty good increase across all counties. Some increases were bigger and some increases were smaller, but nevertheless, we did see a good bump right after January across all counties, evened out in February, and then continued to increase in March until it went to May. So as you can see, for those of us who are trying to survive the rest of the year seems like it's going to be the most difficult part, the lowest point, the fewest number of buyers shopping, prices, your competitors might be dropping prices, etc. If you hold through this year, then let's see if we can return to these numbers, if we can repeat the same trajectory in January, then you guys should be in good shape. Continue to hold your prices, continue to hold steady. Do not cancel your listing. If you have to get an extension on your loan, or refinance, or do whatever you need to do, but survive this low point in prices and try to get to these months when we see good price increases again. Okay, this was as far as our purchase prices. Let's take a look at months of supply. Months of supply basically tells us how saturated the market is with unsold inventory. Anything below 3 is unsaturated market. The sellers have an upper hand. It is a seller's market. From 3 to 4, it becomes a balanced market. And then after 4, 5 and 6, that becomes a buyer's market, which means that the properties are saturating the market and there is not enough buyers to absorb those properties. So what we're observing here is that our market saturation with unsold properties is probably as high as it was in 2019, and in some cases even higher for some of the counties. So what I would say based on this picture is that for the last 5 years, we are at the highest number of unsold homes, the highest point of market saturation. For that reason, those properties who cannot survive during the holidays, they're going to start dropping off. We're already starting to see it. Now we have either the number of buyers increasing, which I doubt, or more likely, some sellers simply taking their property off the market and maybe turning into a rental, maybe finding some other resolution for their property, maybe staying in a house. But what we're seeing is that market saturation is starting to actually diminish. We are seeing, for example, in August and in September, the numbers for all counties were higher than they are right now. It's a small drop, but it is a good drop. Let's take a look at what was happening at the same time last year. So at the same time last year, we had November with the highest number, the highest point of saturation of the market for almost all counties. Then it dropped precipitously in December, which means that many sellers, especially those who were occupying their properties, probably took the properties off MLS so they could celebrate in peace and then put the properties back in the market once the snow melts or once the weather is a little bit better. And this is exactly what we're observing, that we had a pretty high market saturation up until November. Then it dropped in December, went at its lowest point in January, and then started to go back up in the spring, in the first months of the spring. I would expect that the exact same pattern will repeat itself again. We're going to see an even sharper decline of competing homes. So the number of homes available for sale will drop, I predict, in the next months as people will be pulling their properties off the market. But then it will immediately start to pick back up right after January. So if you can keep your property in the market, stay with the program, you will have less competition and potentially you're going to be getting ready to see big activity among the buyers in the beginning months of 2025. Let's take a look at days in the market. Days in the market, as you can see, they're very cyclical, and each cycle really repeats each other pretty well throughout the years, the only exception, of course, being the COVID years. But let's take a look at what we're having right now. Right now, we're at highest days in the market, which looks very similar to what we had in 2023. So in 2023, in October of 2023, so September, October, November, you see that right up to the point of Thanksgiving, we had a huge buildup of days in the market, unsold, the properties are just sitting, and then it started to drop. It started to drop in January and December. Why? Again, it's not like there's more buyers suddenly entered the marketplace. More likely it's because people who were trying to sell their properties just withdrew their properties from the market, therefore removing all those long days in the market from the market and shortening the average days in the market amount. So here is my prediction. We don't worry about days in the market too much, but I do predict that as we go into February, March and April, we're going to see a reduction of days in the market, reduction of number of homes sitting on the market, and higher turnover of properties. Let's take a look at our demand. Our demand is closed sales. Okay, right now our demand was the highest. So for this year, our demand was the highest in May. Then it declined slightly in June, a small little bump right before everybody went to school in July. And then look at that, it dropped. Pretty much all 4 counties repeated themselves in this pattern from the standpoint of just simply following a supply and demand trajectory. We can see that people started to shop right after the school went out. They went on vacation, I'm guessing, in June. They woke up again saying, "Oh gosh, I forgot to buy a house before the new school year starts." In July, they went out and bought a house. This is the number of homes sold. So you can see a spike of activity in May when they first got out, spike of activity in July, right before the end of summer vacation, precipitous drop, of course. Everybody's went back to school, dealing with their kids and extra activities, and all this homework and taking the kids to soccer practices. So nobody's having any time to spend on their home shopping. And then from September to October, we see an increase across multiple fields. Now, that is partially due to the fact that the Fed dropped the rate during that time. And also it's due to the fact that people are now starting to prepare for the holidays, and they're saying, if we don't buy our home before Thanksgiving, then we'll just have to wait until 2025. And some of them started to rush out and try to get their home shopping done so they could move into the new property by Thanksgiving. Now, what can we observe what can we predict, or what can we expect from the next 2-3 months? Let's take a look at year-to-year data for the last year. So last year in October, we started to decline. Then we had a small bump in November, similar to the bump that we're experiencing right now. Then noted that bump went down, so the number of homes sold spiked temporarily during the holidays. Then it went down all the way to almost nothing by the end of Christmas holidays. And then look at that. We are seeing a huge increase in people shopping for homes and closing on homes starting in February and then March and April. So for those of you who have your homes on the market right now, this is the data that I would like for you to pay attention to, because you're going to probably see the same notice that we have the exact same pattern year after year, even during COVID. Even during COVID, we have the same pattern. So for those of you who are feeling kind of a little discouraged about the market right now, look at this pattern and say that if I can survive till February or March, I should be in a much better situation at that time. Okay, new listings. What can we expect from listings this year? What we're seeing is that most people put their properties on the market in May. This is your competition. Let's examine the competition behavior. Most people put their houses on the market in May, and then we saw a huge decline in the number of new homes entering the market, except for Tarrant County had a little spike, a little spike recently. But overall, we see a decline and then a slight stabilization in September/October across all 4 markets. That tells me that people were busy with after school, enrolling their kids into all kind of, activities and dealing with the kids' school information during this period. Now, they decided, oops, I need to sell my home before Thanksgiving so I can move and celebrate my Thanksgiving and Christmas at my new house. So they started to put homes on the market, by such increasing the pressure on the market. And when you have higher number of people putting their homes in the market, the prices feel suppressed. So for those of you who are wondering why are the prices so suppressed right now, I just want to remind you that on top of a sluggish sales, we have suddenly an influx of sellers who are trying to put their properties in the market, disbalancing the disbalancing the relationship between supply and demand even further. So blame the holidays for the slowdown in sales and slowdown in price increase. Last but not least, let's take a look at percent of original price. Percent of original price means compared to what the sellers asked for, which is 100% of their price. How is the house faring right now? So if you're asking for 300, are you going to be able to get 300, or what's the number? So for right now, the peak, this year's peak, was 88 to 89% of your asking price. So people were basically, if you're asking for $300,000, you're expecting to see offers in the range of maybe 295 to 197, but not your full price. That was at our best months in May. As of right now, we are seeing offers that are 96%. Now notice, this 96 is pretty much across the board. with just fractions of differences between the counties. I would expect that Dallas County and Collin County or Denton County and Collin County would be very different in their measurements, but look at how close they are. That tells me that when you're pricing your home to sell at $300,000, you can expect to see the offer that are coming in at about 4% lower than your asking price. So if you're seeing offers for, let's just say, 278 to 79, do not be discouraged. You do not need to wait and hold. This is actually what we're seeing as a common trend. And also, this is a good information for you to take into account when you're thinking about your ARV, calculating your after repair value. If your ARV says 300 and you're looking at this data, just make sure to take off about 4 more percent or 5 more percent from your ARV calculations, because unfortunately, the trend is that you're going to sell at about maybe 4 to 5% below your ARV level. That's it for right now for the Dallas, Collin, Tarrant, and Denton County. I'm going to do a review of other counties in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in just a little bit. But if you have any questions about this data, let me know. Just a reminder, this was residential sales, single family. I'm not touching any subtypes of our sales, 3 to 4 bedroom and resale, no new construction. Thank you so much. My name is Elena Garrett, and I'm a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. I'm with Keller Williams Central in Richardson. And if you have any questions about obtaining more granular data related to your project, please let me know. 469-371-4961. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.